Welcome back to Who Wears... I'm like, what's the name of my show? Welcome back to Who Wears Your Pants? Huh. Tonight, the name of the show is Who Wears Your Pants? This is my fucking show. And we have a special guest, Caitlyn Mackey.
Hello.
So for those of you that don't know her, we've been friends for how long? A decade. At least. Over a decade. We met in college. Really aging ourselves here.
Met before college.
Yes, technically the first time we ever met, Caitlin stalked me in a swimming pool.
With good reason.
With very good reason.
Just curiosity and friendship in my heart.
And she is an integrative nutrition health coach, and she's here today to talk to us all about how to be uniquely healthy.
Yes.
Or healthy in your own unique way. Something
just
like that.
to be you and to feel good.
Yeah. But before we started rolling, we were already talking about living a uniquely healthy life. And would you like to describe with us how you like to work out?
Sure. Currently, I like to work out. I take the easy breezy way of working out. I like to do a lot of yoga.
You're a cover girl.
I'm a cover girl. I like to do yoga, Pilates, and long walks on the beach by candlelight.
You're like, my exercise routine sounds like a dating profile.
Yeah. No, it's definitely evolved or devolved, depending how you want to look at it, from our swimming days. It definitely went from, high endurance sport to running and a lot of exercise classes, spin classes, boot camp classes. And kind of went from there to HIIT workouts at home, but started off a lot of quarantine with those, and I've kind of just found that my body needs to take it a little easy. My joints, I'm getting old.
I'm just getting a little bit
But no,
older.
it's just better for my health all around if I kind of don't stress myself out over working out, which is something I've kind of struggled with since high school. Maybe before, I don't know.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because so for those of you that don't know, Caitlin and I were Division I athletes. We swam.
Humble brag.
And we would practice for 5 hours a day. We would be in the pool in the morning for 2 hours, and then pool in the afternoon for 2 hours, and then do weights in the afternoon. So it was about 5 hours a day.
Yep.
And it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a full-time job.
20
and
plus
school.
hours a week. Yeah.
It was our major.
Oh yeah, we definitely majored in being an athlete, not whatever we went to
Who knows what we really majored in?
Do I even have a degree? No. But that was a totally different world. But I think that there's like value in that. But then there's also, it's harmful.
Oh yeah. I think that was kind of my struggle coming out of college, is realizing that I had this built-in safety net of teammates, coaches, trainers. And when I graduated, it was all gone. I kind of felt like I was orphaned out into the world. And then all I had to lean on was my degree, which I could care less about. I just picked it because the classes were interesting. I didn't fall asleep, and I just really didn't feel prepared for the real world.
Yeah. I think a lot of athletes go through that.
Oh, yeah.
There's it's like you leave this world, and then all of a sudden there's a piece of your identity is gone.
Yeah, you're kind of treated as this golden child, some kind of prodigy when you're in whatever small town.
I don't know. I don't think I was a prodigy.
Well, you know what I mean. Like if you're getting recruited to go swim or play a sport for a Division I school, you got to be pretty good in your childhood years. And then you go, and then you have this prestige of being in Division I sport, and then you graduate, and congratulations, you're a human being on Earth. Get a job like the rest of them, figure it out like the rest of them, and it's just very humbling.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then because now you're a health coach, obviously that is kind of connected to athletics, but I mean, being healthy is not just being I guess what I'm saying is when we were athletes, I think we were healthy in a very specific way, but then there are parts looking back where I'm like, whoa, that was completely out of alignment. And I feel like now in a lot of ways I'm more healthy than I was then. Maybe we can't swim 100 breaststroke quite as fast as we used to, but
who knows if I can hold my breath, but no, yeah, it was just a lack of education. You know, I didn't know half the things that I know about nutrition now, half the things I knew about mental health now. And I think if I would have been given those tools back then, it might have made a difference. I might have been better. I definitely would have been happier because I went through some tough times, but I don't know, it's life, and who knows, maybe I needed to go through all that. But yeah, it's very different because when you're in that sport, you know, you're doing 5 hours of practice a day, you can kind of get away with eating 3 bagels and a donut and chocolate milk and oatmeal and a coffee for breakfast, and then having a foot long for lunch, and then who knows what for dinner, Panda Express. Like, I would die if I ate that now.
If you had one of those meals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're just burning it off. But then, you know, as I've gotten older and I've gone to the nutrition school and I've kind of learned about the value of what's actually in the food that we're eating, and it's not just a calories in, calories out type of situation. It actually matters that you're getting the proper amount of protein, fat, fiber, not really having too much sugar, because all that affects everything in your body, your immune system, your digestive system, your brain health. It's all intertwined.
You are what you eat.
Yes, exactly. And you are what you eat eats as well.
I'm like, what does June shine? Am I a walking SCOBY is the question.
Yes, hopefully. Feed those healthy probiotics.
Okay, so now that you've found your path a little bit, well, I guess, do you feel like what helped you get through walking away from college and being an athlete and then finding your way? Or have you found your way yet?
I think I kind of live by the ideology that I might never find the way, but I'm making my own way. And I'm one of those people that the thought of settling terrifies me.
Yes.
You know, part of the reason I'm not married with children and own a house is I feel like I would do all that and think, okay, now what? And I would get really depressed. And I mean, that's not to, you know, say that's not the right thing to do for other people. That's just personally who I am. And so how I got to where I am right now, which I would say is where I want to be in terms of I actually am in a career that I'm passionate about, that I love learning about, that they have the opportunity to keep learning about. I didn't just stumble into it. I actually first stumbled into a lot of mistakes and partying and whatever type jobs just to make money. And I guess through those errors, I kind of created some health problems for myself. And I think it was through dealing with those health problems that I realized that it was interesting to me to learn why I felt a certain way. And it was interesting to me that there were practices or foods that I could be eating to correct this. And it kind of just showed me the way into health and wellness.
Yeah. Yeah, when I think about what we would eat and drink, it's
oh my God,
scary. And I don't know if college students still do that. But like the impact, what do you think the impact of that is in your long-term health? I mean, like,
you know, some people can just become
reliant
reliant on alcohol. You know, they never are able to let go of it because they think it's such a fun thing. And what they don't realize is it is a depressant, and that it does cloud your brain, and it is full of sugar. And I think it could have probably more of a mental impact than anything if you just come to be reliant on one substance. I think it's perfectly normal, though.
So you're saying take drugs. So.
You know, I'll try anything twice. But no, I don't know. I think people still do it. I don't think there's any harm in people doing it. I think I kind of wish I did it earlier. Like, I was a really good kid in high school. And I was just saying the other day to my partner that I wish that I would have kind of gone a little bit crazier, just have those experiences, because now I'm way too tired to do it. I'm way too busy. And I just, you watch certain shows of these teenagers doing crazy things. And you're like, oh man, missed opportunity. But maybe not.
But like, what stops you from doing them now? Is it that you like genuinely don't want to?
I just have no interest.
Yeah. I'm like, you could still do that.
Yeah, no, it's, I guess I don't think that there's great harm in experimenting with things, because that's my whole practice, is people experimenting with different lifestyle practices or diets. But I think it's, everything in moderation. Mm-hmm. So if you do decide to be in college and give the drinking and partying thing a try, like, sure, but in moderation. And I think, it would be interesting to look at a study and to see like what the party rates are now, because there is it seems like health and wellness is kind of being pushed to the forefront of our pop culture, and people, it's hip, so maybe it does have some kind of effect on it.
It's like really, it's cool now.
It's just like really cool.
But okay, you were talking about, before we started rolling, about how now it's like this whole like new age thing to have high yoga.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's just a lot of studies out about cannabis or MDMA, mushrooms, all those things being used as therapeutic tools for helping people out with anxiety, depression, PTSD. I know MDMA is being used a lot for that. And I was just saying that, I've been getting high and doing yoga for years.
You're like, I should have monetized
and
that.
I really should have jumped on that, but I didn't think it was, I just thought, oh, I'm just a stoner kid doing yoga. Like, who knew that would become the new hip goopy thing to do?
Yeah, the goopy thing. So what are you doing now? Because obviously you're a trendsetter. So
oh, no, I'm a trendsetter. I just listen to my body. I feel if I wake up and I'm really tired and I have body aches or something, like, I'm not going to push myself to go do a workout. And what I was saying back in the day about over exercising, no matter what, I would get up and make myself do it. And I think that kind of came from the training of swimming. Yeah. You had this set schedule for practice. You had to do it. And so I think it was kind of a toxic thought in my mind that I had to get up and my day was going to be complete crap if I didn't get my workout in. And there were days where I didn't have time to get my workout in, and I felt like complete crap, even though physically speaking, my body wasn't that different, And so now my main modality is just listening to my body. And if I wake up and I have a lot of energy or I'm angry about something, then I might do something a little more cardiovascular, get that heart rate up. But it just depends.
We're all so different. And because I think about sometimes how if I feel bad, it's like one way or the other. I'm like, either I need to do nothing today, or I need to get over myself and go work out, because I know like afterwards that I'll feel better. So a toss up.
Yeah. And when I have those moments, that's when I pick something just short. And I don't want to say short and sweet, but something short and sweet. I do a lot of yoga and Pilates, like I said, and sometimes just getting on that mat and doing a little 15-minute flow, it can be not that hard, but it can be life-changing in terms of your mood, in terms of your, like, how your body feels after. You just feel more open. Yeah. You get the juices flowing, your digestive organs are a little bit looser, ready to go, and you just feel better.
So integrative health, that's like all-encompassing. Is that what that term means? So what I guess you were saying, it's like health is more than just how you move your body and what you put inside of it. So what are the areas that you consider?
So when a client comes to me and they want to, work on their well-being or their health, however they describe it, a lot of them come with a preconceived notion that it has to have something to do with what their diet is and what they're doing for exercise. And those are two important things, but they're just two pieces of a larger puzzle. I think in terms of looking at your body and looking at your health, you have to look at everything going on around you and in you. And so I look at categories, I look at people's relationships, I look at their careers, I look at their finances, their home life, what they do for self-care, what they do for their social activities, what they are cooking at home.
So you're like house, but for the body.
House for the body. Yeah, I'm like a holistic house, which house would hate. So it's great. Yeah, just because if you're so focused on two areas, you're gonna forget about all the other areas, and there's gonna be an imbalance, and that imbalance is gonna show up in your body even if you're mentally not thinking about it. I know, for example, we were talking about relationships.
Yeah.
If you're in a toxic relationship with someone, that's going to negatively affect your life, and that might cause you to be in a bad mood, and that might start affecting your work life because you're going into work angry, or you're going into work on not enough sleep because you couldn't sleep the night before because you were in a fight. It could lean into you not wanting to work out, or overworking out, or not eating because you're upset, or overeating. And you could stop hanging out with your friends because your friends see how toxic this person is for you, and they point it out, and you don't want to hear it. So then you're cutting off those social ties, and you're kind of cutting yourself off from everything that makes you you, just because you're off balance in this one area.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you this, but in a previous relationship, I
was like, are you going to tell me that I'm in a toxic relationship?
No, after I ended it, I literally, I think I lost like 5 pounds. And it was all like around my stomach, and I realized it just like literally went away like that. And it, not like I'm like a fat person, you know, but but literally I was like, it was
a major change.
Yeah. And it was like very sudden and very drastic. And I realized that it was because I was like holding on, and I had all of these like stomach issues, and like everything was just like I wasn't going to the bathroom. Like I was just like holding on to everything. And then as soon as I ended it, I felt like physically lighter, and I like really truly was lighter. But like that all like cleared up, and it was like I think I must have been holding on
stressed
to everything that apparently I was like not shitting. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then I kind of like, in retrospect, looking back, I was like, that was totally because of my relationship, not because like I wasn't drinking enough water. It was, you know.
Yeah. No, it's
fascinating.
Stress in our life, not like physical stress on our body, but just like dealing with stressful situations does manifest physically in our body. So even though we're not, you know, going out on these hard runs and causing all this stress on our knees or whatever, if we're in a bad relationship, that's going to cause stress in the body. Your body's going to be more in a state of not fight or flight, but you know, it's always going to be on. Totally. It's never going to be in that rest and digest space that you would want. And it's not going to be just chill. The lungs aren't going to just be breathing. You're just going to, everything's going to be concentrated on like, oh, what's happening next with this relationship? And you're just not able to fully function in that homeostasis that you need to be a fully healthy.
So you're saying person. In order to be really healthy, you just never date anybody.
Yeah, you stay single forever and smoke a lot of weed and do yoga.
That sounds like the dream. No. Have an OnlyFans page for your feet. You're set.
Yeah, I mean, what else could you need? A pet. Just get a pet. And it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so to go back, exercise, diet, relationships, like your mental health. Like, what is there anything else we're missing?
So I look for joy. So something they do, a hobby or something that just elicits joy, just makes them feel good. They don't do it because it's part of a job. They don't do it because, you know, it's their friend likes to do it. It makes their friend happy, which, you know, their friend can do it too, but it has to be something that's for you, makes you happy. And I kind of categorize that separately from self-care. I think the two can be intertwined. Yeah. But I think it's important to have something that brings you joy just as is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be because you're taking care of yourself and doing a face mask or something like that. Like, it can be totally gluttonous and for fun, gluttonous and not necessarily in food terms, but just in enjoying life.
What's your gluttonous joy? Today or now?
Today. I mean, I really like creating things and decorating things.
Really?
Yeah. So I
What? You like decoupaging at home? What's happening
well, I like a very clean home, but I like to I have a lot of like tchotchke type things, and I like to move them around. I like to kind of feng shui things up. It makes me feel centered. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. I guess it's maybe I'm kind of going against what I just said because it does make me feel more accomplished, but that brings me joy. I'd say doing that, and then anytime I can make a card or wrap something or make something for someone, like I love giving. So, and making it personal. I don't know. I think that's how my creativity flows. Creativity is also another area of my little areas of life that you need to make sure all of the things are in balance. Yeah.
Okay. So the areas of life. So if someone's like doesn't have a creative outlet. Yeah. You would like be like, oh, maybe we should talk about that.
And it could be something as simple as cooking. Just something where again, it's outside of your work. You could do it for fun with friends or with a partner, but it's just using that creative side of the brain, not the logical side, but just kind of exploring your creativity, your imagination, unlocking that inner child that lives within, you know?
Oh, yes. When I think of cooking, I think of the opposite of everything. I think I hate it.
Okay. Hey, it'll teach their own, you know. Your creativity would lay elsewhere.
Yes.
You know.
Not in the kitchen.
Yeah. It just depends. And we're all different. We all have different things. And that's why it's important that when we look at these areas or these primary foods, which is what I call them, because these areas should all come first before you're looking at whatever diet you need to be on. And granted, nutrition is one of the primary foods, but it's not the biggest piece. They're all equal parts. They all need to be.
This is a shared pie.
In balance. Yeah, it is. It's a big pie chart.
Okay, so did you list all of them? What are they? What are the primary foods?
Okay, so primary foods that I look at. There's 14 of them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is
it's a big pie.
Yeah, we're getting some slivers here.
Yeah, but you'll see how some of them feed into the other ones.
Okay.
Pun not intended.
Fire away.
There's health, self-care, sleep, relationships, joy, social life, home cooking, creative freedom, education, career, finances, environment, spirituality, and physical activity.
Oh. Yes. Those all make sense. That like is life.
It's life, yeah. And you know, we're all dealing with that every day, whether or not we're being mindful of it. And so why put the concentration all on your diet? Why put the concentration all on exercise when those are just 2 of the 14? Yeah. You know, it's like we said before, if you're only concentrating on those 2 areas, the other ones are going to fall off balance, and that's going to resonate into your body somehow.
When you talk to people, what's the one that's usually like the most common one that's neglected?
People do not get enough sleep, and they do not get enough good sleep. And I think people really don't understand how important sleep is. There's a common thing I hear a lot of people like, oh, well, I actually only need 5 hours. And scientifically speaking, no. You need more than 5 hours, because in order to get into the REM sleep, in order to get the proper amount of REM sleep, I think you need at least 6 or 7 hours to get that full night's sleep. And, you know, you hear I know there's a lot of famous creatives out there, like I think like Einstein, Van Gogh, that kept really weird hours. Like they would be up all through the night, and those are outliers, you know, they had, obviously it worked for them for what they did.
I don't know if I would really model my life around Van Gogh.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like they were very successful creatively or career-wise, education-wise, but maybe they felt off balance in their relationships, or maybe maybe they were dealing with some health issues that weren't on display, you know. And I'd say sleep and the self-care probably.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, are people like you said finances, which I think is interesting because it's like, you know, when you are stressed about money, it touches every aspect of your life.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, I'm like, do people realize that? Like when you when you're worried about how you're going to pay for something, it's like penetrates everything that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think about that, or I'm talking to clients about it, I think back to my college days and my first bank account and overdraft fees. And I think about when I finally paid back that overdraft fee, or like how I was just like waiting to save up the right amount of money to pay it back, and the amount of stress that was building. And then as soon as I did it, or as soon as I pay my car insurance bill, which I put off, like it's just an instant burden that's lifted, and you just feel amazing. And I think people don't realize the opposite of that, what it feels like when it's on your shoulders and how it's affecting every other part of your life. It's not until it's over that you realize, oh my gosh, I feel so much lighter now that I did that. So that's why I try to bring it up with clients. And, you know, not everyone is out to be a billionaire, trillionaire, whatever, but just having an idea of what your situation is, what you need to get by, to get what you want, and just kind of aligning those goals is something we look at when we're looking at that finance area of the circle.
Interesting. Okay. Tell me more. What's your favorite one?
I mean, like I said, I love cooking. And I feel like the cooking brings me joy. It allows me to have creative freedom. And I feel like it's something I do socially. And I do it a lot with my partner, so it strengthens our relationship. So that's kind of an example of one thing leading into the others as well.
With my partner, I'm like, I feel weird saying partner.
I know. Well, I don't know.
We're
partners. You could be
my lover.
Your lover. I actually do like
sex
lover.
Slave. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Your homie. My main squeeze, my homie. Our level of cooking is like, so who's gonna order Uber Eats tonight?
Yeah. But again, everyone's different. So what if you could think of something that you do, maybe not every day, but every week, that elicits joy? What would it be?
Pretty much everything I do that elicits joy is like some form of physical activity.
I thought you were going to say, well, everything brings me joy.
Well, a lot of that too. You know what? I was going to ask, this wasn't one of the things on your list, and I was a little bit surprised by it, or maybe I didn't hear it. But like, do you ever ask them about sex? Like, is that?
That's just part of relationships.
Oh, okay.
I haven't had a client have a problem with that. A lot of my clients are newlyweds, though, so they're fine.
So they're just living it. Yeah. You're like, give them 6 more months of the year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. But
okay, so that falls as like a subsection of that category.
Yeah, and sometimes if their hormones are off balance, that can affect libido, and I just haven't had that specifically with any of my clients, but it's definitely something that could come up.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry to go back. You were talking about being in the kitchen with your partner.
Oh yeah, that's just something that hits a couple different areas all at once for me. And then I was saying, for you, what would bring you joy?
That wasn't like physical exercise,
or it could,
or like creativity.
It could be.
I feel like the things that make me the happiest or bring me the most joy would be like if I am doing some like form of physical activity, or if I am like writing something really great, or like in my acting classes. I love, like, those make me so happy.
Yeah.
Or like having a connection with the person, I think, is one of the things that brings me the most joy.
Yeah. So that ticks the boxes of
dancing.
Oh,
but
yes.
I think, is that considered? Oh, yes. Is that considered?
Dancing.
Dance,
America's pastime. No, but that checks a lot of boxes for you. Your social interactions, your relationship, your physical activity, your career, and your finances, and your education if you're doing like the acting classes and stuff. Like so it's a lot of these things are intertwined, and that's kind of what I try to get my clients to see is we don't need to just sit down and talk about this one area. If we just tweak one little thing in an area that, I let them kind of decide what that area is. I don't like to pass judgment on anyone.
Totally.
And they notice that kind of has a domino effect in the other areas of their life, normally positively, but
Yeah.
you know, all these things do play off of each other in one way or the other.
Huh. So let's say that someone wants to become healthier.
Mm-hmm.
What would be like the first thing that you would tell them to do?
I would have them define that word healthy in their terms, because for everyone it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, you get the people that want to lose weight, or you get the people that just want to be more physically active. And then I kind of just dive in deeper to why. Like, do you want to be more physically active because you just think you have to be? Because maybe running isn't your thing, and that's okay. You don't have to be a runner. So I just try to ask high mileage questions to my clients and have them come to the answers themselves, if that makes sense. You know, totally. I kind of let them lead the conversation. And I think just by asking the right kind of questions or inquiring a little bit more about something they said gets them thinking about it in a different way. And they most of the time come up with their own solutions or recommendations of things they want to try or experiment with.
Yeah. It's like, how do you want to feel, as opposed to like what?
Yeah. Like, what does it mean to you? How do you want to feel? What does it look like? Like, how do you know that you've obtained that level of healthy that you're desiring? And I have goal sheets and charts and stuff for them to fill out when I first take them on that kind of help them navigate that. So it's because it can be kind of daunting for someone to be like, how are you going to be healthy? What is healthy to you? Because sometimes they feel like there is a right or wrong answer. And that's what I kind of try to share with them is there's not. It's whatever you want and what's going to make you feel ultimately happy.
Okay, this was making me think about something that I will say, and it will probably not be well received by whoever. But there's this whole thing out now about how you can be healthy at any size. And I think that is a load of crap. And that if someone is morbidly overweight, how could they sit there and say that they're healthy? It just baffles me.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of a difference between beautiful and healthy. I don't think that everyone that was saying like, oh, my body is beautiful, I don't think they would turn around and be necessarily, I don't think everyone that says that would say, and I'm 100% healthy. I know there are a lot of influencer type people that are out because doing work like that, it is kind of a big market right now. Pun totally not intended. I shouldn't have said that. And they'll be completely candid about, like I could be healthier, but I want to eat this cheeseburger and this pizza or whatever. Yeah. And as a health coach, I'm not looking to make people like an optimum level of healthy. I'm looking to make people happy with themselves. And I think that mental health is just as important as physical health. That being said, with all the science and nutrition information I know, I agree, someone who is, medically obese, like, and is on my 600-pound life, they're at risk of a lot of diseases. They're at risk of an early death. And so I would hope that they would want to change that. But I'm not going to look at them and think that, they should be doing this. As if they were ultimately so happy and didn't want to live forever and wanted to do that, I can't really pass judgment on that. I don't know if that really answers your question. But
yeah, I guess I wasn't really asking. I was asking a question. I was mostly just venting.
Oh, okay.
I was just letting it out.
Yeah, I think it's just more. I don't think the beauty and health are synonymous.
Okay,
in those.
That's a really
claims.
Good way to put it, because when I see that, I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just. I think it's more about confidence and. Just, we live in a world where there's so much shame and blame going on that I think people are just trying to counter that with total body confidence, regardless of what your situation is. And, in a way, I do think that's beautiful. But also as a health coach, like, I do want everyone to be, not riddled with disease by 35 or whatever,
Yeah. Okay. You talked about how, or before we started filming, you were talking about listening to your gut. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
So
to you?
Well, to me, I kind of look at it there's two ways of looking at it. There's like the spiritual way of looking at it where people just, you hear people say all the time, like, oh, had this gut feeling, like, oh, that person seemed really untrustworthy, or I just had a gut feeling like I should take this opportunity, that kind of thing. And then there's the more scientific side of your gut, which refers to your large intestine, your small intestine, your colon. And when I talk about it, I'm mostly talking about your gut microbiome, which is on your skin and in that gut area.
It's on your skin?
It's even like radiating off your skin. So if you and I were a little bit closer, like our microbiomes would be interacting and like we'd be sharing little microbes and microorganisms.
How intimate.
Yes.
Oh.
And so the cool thing about the gut microbiome is it actually has more neuron receptors than your brain. And there's more gut cells in your body than human cells. So your gut is like a big part of your body.
Wait.
Yeah.
Is a gut cell different than...
Yeah, so your gut cells are involved in the kind of digestive tract that I was talking about, the intestines and those. So the cells that hang out down there or on our skin. Because, like I said, the microbiome is on our skin. And so
we're basically like an alien, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but so... or you could just say that gut feeling people experience could be a real thing.
I've heard research about how it's like it's ultimately your subconscious sending you, you walk into a room and your body's picking up all these signals and your brain isn't consciously aware of them, but your gut is ultimately. It's like acts as your second brain, if you will. So that's like what's guiding you. Yeah, and if you could think about it like what I was saying, if you and I were standing next to each other, we'd be sharing those little microorganisms, microbes. If yours were bad, which they're not, but if my body were sensing that, it'd be like, oh, something's off here. My gut would hopefully be able to interpret that. And then in the same way, like in our environment, when we're different chemicals, whether that's from, your Bath and Body Work candle, or you live next to like a toxic radiation place. Does that have to do with, when you meet somebody and you don't even know them and you're like, I do not like you? Do you think that has
I don't feel like I have the authority to confirm that or not, because I also think that the mind is a very powerful thing, and I think we have a lot of prejudices that lay in our subconscious from experiences we've had throughout our lives, throughout our childhood. So it could just be maybe a certain person walks up and has a mannerism of some bully you had in first grade, and you don't fully recognize that yourself, but your subconscious picks up on it. That's the only, I can't say definitively if that's what that is, but it could be. The microbiome that I'm talking about, it's still being researched. There's things coming out every week, new studies and finding different strains of bacteria that are linked back to different causes. So they've linked it to like the brain health, like I was saying. It can affect your immune function, can affect just like how your other organs are acting. And then when I say the like listening to the gut thing, that's more in terms of nutrition and food, because if you're eating an inflammatory food, you're most likely going to feel that in your gut.
Yeah.
And so, and I come from a history of gut issues. So it's, when I say listen to the gut, I just can't even tell you how many people I hear that like eat something, they're like, oh, my stomach hurts so like, bad. And then they go and they do it again. Yeah. And they just think, oh, it's because I ate too much, whatever. It's like, no, but like maybe you do have a sensitivity to this type of thing, or maybe you ate too much of that thing, because sometimes people can be sensitive to something, but it doesn't necessarily mean they can never have it. They just have to have it in certain portions, and just be mindful of that. So I was also one of these people that just dealt with the stomachache, like, oh, I love ice cream, but it gives me a stomachache. Okay, wait, hold up. Like, why does it give me a stomachache? Like, why do I just accept that every time it happens? Why do I accept just living in pain? And I think that's kind of something that's become part of our culture is people just accept living in pain, and you don't have to live in pain.
Yeah, that just made me think of something, because sometimes if I talk to someone who like never works out, or they like eat really poorly, or I know that those are the two things that I'm thinking of, but there's probably like other aspects of your life, but it's like, I wonder if they even recognize how different they would feel. Like their set point of their daily life is so different, but they don't realize that. It's like you just accept what it is, and that's that. But it could be better, and they just don't know.
Yeah, and that's why, getting something like a health coach is helpful, because then you can have someone support you and recommend things to try and change. Because when clients come to me, a lot of them don't know what they need. They just go, hey, like, I noticed this and this. Like, I don't know if this is normal.
Yeah.
And then I can recommend trying different tricks, tips, tools, whatever, to see if that makes a difference. And I have my clients keep logs of things, and a lot of time clients are realizing that there is a correlation or causation between something they're doing every day and the pain they're feeling later in the day. But it is like you said, though, they have to come to the realization of, oh, this isn't normal. And so that's why
it's like self-awareness. It's huge.
Yeah. And I think just the more education we get out there about, it's not normal for all the people that we have dying of heart disease, like all the cancer we have, like it's not normal. Like these are all linked to inflammation and chronic stress and things that could be tackled earlier on in life. The root causes of it are these imbalances in these areas of our life, nutrition, exercise included. And so just kind of getting that education out there, letting people know, hey, you don't need to just think, oh, when you get old, everything's going to turn to crap.
Yeah.
I think that our society, we just think that's part of getting old. Like there's a chance you're going to get cancer, chance you're going to get heart disease or arthritis. Like we don't need to get those things.
We can reduce that. So what would you tell someone if they knew something wasn't right, but they didn't know what to do? Like what's the first, or even not, maybe they don't even know, like what's the best way to become more self-aware?
I would say keep just a little tracker or a little journal. If I make specific food journals and symptom trackers for my clients, but even just, if you have a daily planner or whatever, if you just notice like, oh, I have really bad heartburn today, or like, oh man, I've had like some really weird poops this week. Like just kind of make a note of that.
I pooped 17 times today. What
and then
is this?
The next time that happens, make a note of it. And then you might notice, oh, whoa, this is happening every Tuesday. Oh, I'm eating these tacos you know what I mean? Like it's a long process, and it can be very daunting. And I think that's why a lot of people don't even want to bother with it, because it's, it could take some time to figure out what's wrong with you. It could take some tests at the doctor's office, but I think the simplest way is just recognize when you are experiencing something that feels abnormal, or you don't hear other people always complaining. Or I guess you shouldn't even say you don't hear other people complaining, because a lot of these problems are pretty common, and they shouldn't be. Like, specifically what comes to mind is IBS, IBS is not a thing. It's something the doctors tell you because you either have, a leaky gut or gut dysbiosis, or, they just haven't found exactly what you have yet. They just throw this blanket term on it. And people think, oh, I just have IBS, so I have this problem. I poop every 3 days, whatever. Like no, you can correct that. You can correct that with some lifestyle tweaks, some nutrition tweaks. And I think just first recognizing that it's kind of like alcoholism, like recognizing you have a problem is the first step.
The first step is being aware.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. This is like a little bit different, but I remember I started tracking a notebook for my emotions.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, because I used to have this thing where I thought to myself, God, like I'm never emotional, or like I never feel anything. And then I was like, that's not true. And then I started literally, like, I would go through the day and I would just write down whatever I felt. Like in the morning, I was tired, I was annoyed, I was angry, I was sad, I was upset, I was nervous, and I would list them. And all of a sudden I started to realize, like, wow, I actually do feel things, and I'm feeling a lot of things all of the time. And then it became a lot easier to recognize them, because
were you able to find like any links between like what was happening on those certain days and what elicited those feelings?
Yeah. A lot of it was situational, or like people, right, or like environments that I would be in would trigger some form of an emotion or something like that. And then adjusting based on that. My life.
Just kind of getting that snapshot. And like we said, it's whole body thing. So it's not just your food or your physical symptoms, but your mental, not your mental symptoms, but your
your mental symptoms, your emotions. You could even, I sometimes have people track how they're sleeping. Are you waking up a couple times during the night? Why are you waking up? Is it because you have to pee, because you drank too much water, or are you just restless? Do you have insomnia? Just kind of figuring out what the snapshot of your life looks like kind of really helps you discover what areas might need some work on or might be off balance. Well, just a side note. In a side.
I just wanted to speak on those at-home food sensitivity tests. Don't do them. They are not scientifically certified. They don't have a high success rate on properly diagnosing people with totally understanding their food sensitivities. You went to the doctor, right, to get your allergy tests and stuff done?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what was that process?
Horrible.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even allergic to, so I did a food sensitivity test, and then I also did everything imaginable. And they basically pricked my entire back and my arms with every food, every grass, bush, whatever, dogs, cats, and then you have to sit there for 20 minutes. And then they come in and they measure how much of a reaction you have. So your whole entire back is basically a giant, itchy, swollen
disaster.
Disaster. Thank you. I was I don't even know how to describe it. But anyway, but it's the most, when they come in and then they put the calming stuff that makes the itch go away, and it is the best feeling ever. But so I did that, but I am allergic to literally no foods. Yeah. Which I feel I knew that because I have a stomach of rock. I can eat anything.
And that from your experience of eating food.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I was allergic to literally anything that's green and gross outside. So
noted. Yeah, no, and that's what I try to tell people because I'm talking about the food tests specifically.
Yeah.
I would hope at a doctor's office they're using a little bit better technology than what these at-home tests are, but there's a reason that they're readily available. There's a reason they're decently priced. I wouldn't trust them as much as I would trust something a doctor, but I also wouldn't trust them as much as I would trust your own body. And, I'm not saying if you have a feeling that your kid's allergic to peanuts, don't feed them peanuts to find out, because that's, maybe a death sentence. But for adults, if you just think that you might have certain sensitivities, I would suggest doing something like an elimination diet of getting rid of the top 5 food allergens for 21 days, introduce one back into your diet for a couple days at a time, one at a time. And I feel like that's the surefire way to find out how your body reacts to it. Because if you're not having any, for example, so they're egg, soy, dairy, gluten, and corn.
Whoa, and basically every farm in America grows soy and corn.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you go without for 21 days. Day 22, you introduce one of them back, and you only have it for part of one meal, one variety of it. So you're not going to have pizza and breadsticks and pie for dessert. You're not going to, go all out. You just have something that has gluten in it, and then you wait 3 days. And you notice, is there a change in your bowel movements? Is there a change in your skin? Are you having some kind of allergic or acne reaction? Is something happening in your gut? And you keep track of that. After 4 days, then you try the next one, and then you repeat that. So the whole thing ends up being, I think, somewhere into 40 days. And it can be a little daunting.
Yeah.
I've done it. It's not the best. But it's the easiest way to find out how these foods affect you, because you might not have an allergy, but gluten might cause you brain fog. It might cause your acne. And then you can learn to just kind of not live without it, but you get to pick and choose when you have it. Like, I'm a big proponent of never cutting anything out if it makes you happy. But if it is something that causes you irritation, maybe just save it for every once in a while.
Yeah.
Every blue
Or it's
moon.
like if bread causes you brain fog, I don't know if that's the thing, but if that did, then like maybe you don't go pasta carb load the night before you have a big presentation.
Exactly.
Or something like that is what you're saying.
You just learn, same thing with these primary foods, you just learn to balance it into your daily schedule. Because, you know, again, thinking about your mental health, if you're stressing about your diet and what you can't have, that can have negative effects on your body and cause stress and cause inflammation, even though you're not having those things. So balance in all things. But yeah, so that was kind of my main thing, is just don't do those tests.
Cool.
The mail-in ones.
No
Doctors,
no mail-in
totally
tests. Fine. Love it. Okay, well, where can everybody find you?
Yes.
Where can people stalk you?
So they can find me on my website, ourwildhealth.com, or I think I have the same account on Instagram, ourwildhealth, and I think on Facebook too, it's the same, Our Wild Health.
Cool.
Yeah.
Our Wild Health.
Our Wild Health.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Who Wears Your Pants. Please do me a favor and hit subscribe, leave me a review or a comment so that I can turn this disaster of a show into something great. I need you. No, seriously, I do. And if you're feeling really invigorated, check out my corner of the interweb at kirstentrammell.com or become my friend on the gram at Kirsten__Trammell. Because as a ginger, I need all the friends I can get. Peace and love, my homies. I will see you next time.